First thing I do when chains come in is run them through the parts washer. This is a parts washer that I got from Grizzly, and I got the parts washer cleaner from a local Tractor Supply. The idea here is to get all the bar oil and most of the other stuff off of it that I can. Use a little brush. It's got a sprayer in there as well, so it's spraying cleaning agent, and I'm brushing them off. Flip it over, do both sides, and we will hang it up here to dry. This is just one of the many extra steps. If I don't clean them, then they have the oil and stuff on them, and it makes a mess in my shop, and it burns on the grinder, and it doesn't smell good. And so it is an extra step, but it is one that I think I'm going to keep doing. After I hang them up, before taking them back into the shop, I got some compressed air, and I'm going to blow them off to dry them before taking them back into the shop. Kind of an illustration here of all of the other things that you need on top of just a grinder. I used to not do this step, but I want to shout out Dylan Lamont of Lamont & Sons Sharpening. Maybe look him up on TikTok. He's a member of the guild, and he's helped me out quite a bit refining and improving my process. This is one where there's some sticky stuff on the teeth that doesn't come off in the parts washer. I just touch them with a wire wheel, pretty much the tops of the cutters. It doesn't do anything, in my opinion, to adjust cutting quality, but they'll go home looking better, and I think that is valuable. All right, so now they're clean and ready to go, so I'm setting them up in my first grinder. This is a Super Jolly that I got from Sharpening Supplies, and I do have the CBN wheel on this. One of my most popular videos is in finding the angles and everything for these chains, so I'll drop a link to that in the description, but if you go to my channel, you can find it. So I'm not going to rehash that information here, and I don't want to make this a lot on the grinding itself. So this step here is going to be I'm going to breeze through. But there I am with a Sharpie just marking the top of the first cutter so that it's easy to identify my start point as the chain goes around. I do have a tendency to start with the right hand cutters. I found that I like that better. They wear more, so I'm going to set my final cutter length on the right hand side. And what I've been experimenting with is when I go to the left hand cutters, I don't readjust the position. So on this side, I'm going to be grinding and working it into the tooth until I get a good grind the whole way. This chain needed a lot of work, but then on the other side, I just tap it in. Hey, I just want to pause real quick to introduce myself. My name is Matt. I own the American Edge. I'm sharpening these chains as part of my business. These are customers of mine. They brought them off, and I sharpen a lot of different things at the American Edge, and just want to tell you a little bit about the story. It's a business I started in 2016. I'm recording this in 2024. It took me quite a while to get it to a point where it's generating a decent amount of revenue, and it is doing that now. So I would consider this business to be a success, but by my terms. And anyway, the next chapter of my story is to help other people build sharpening businesses, because I've just learned how much opportunity there is in this space. Perhaps you would not be surprised to hear that I hear often there used to be a person who does sharpening. It's somewhat not as available as maybe it once was, but there is still a tremendous amount of demand. My business, I've been thinking about doing a video titled My Perfectly Boring Sharpening Business, because it is not very glamorous, but it is perfect for where I am in the chapter of my life. I have lock boxes at the end of my driveway. My customers bring product to me. I sharpen them on my timeline, and then I put them back out in the lock box to coordinate a pickup. And there's a bunch of other systems involved that have helped me streamline this. I sharpen nights and weekends. I have a full-time job. I have a family, and those things I do put a priority over to my sharpening business, but I also do make time to keep up with my customers. The business generates roughly $1,500 to $2,000 a month and has been consistently doing that for a few years. I actually throttle workflow by using a calendar and a schedule because there's enough demand so that if I opened up the floodgates, I wouldn't be able to keep up and it would stress me out. So anyway, the next thing, the thing that I'm really working on now is helping other people start sharpening business around the country and around the world, because there is a tremendous amount of opportunity. And I feel like there's a lot of people who could benefit from a few extra $100 or $1,000 per month if they can carve out a little bit of time on top of their life. My ask is 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. So 5 days a week, 20 hours a month. If you can dedicate that to building a sharpening business, then I think it's something that I can help you do. I do that through the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, which is a community. I have courses. We have weekly meetups where we meet on Zoom. I make myself available to answer questions that you might have through the whole journey of learning to sharpen and then offering that as a service to your community. So if you want to learn more about that, I put all the links down in the description of this video. It's guildofsharpeners.org. I'll put my email address if you want to connect with me, if you have questions about it. Please feel free to do so. And without further ado, let's get back to sharpening these chains. The CBN wheel for this work is definitely a game changer and worth the cost. I think here I'm finishing up the left-hand cutters. I don't think I mentioned my dust collection system there. Not perfect, but better than nothing. It would be ideal to have a station in a garage or more open air, but my dust collector works okay. So one thing you can do is look at the bottom of those cutters where you are grinding to verify that you have that nice shine along the whole tooth. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether you're grinding all the way out to the tip and inside the gullet. So taking a look in there, if you leave it in the vise, you can shine a flashlight up in there to take a look. Anyway, now I moved over to my second grinder. This one, it stays set up for working rakers. I kind of like this system of having two chain grinders. I had my pitch and gauge tool out there to adjust, or to check in this case, what my raker height was. Now I'm making a few adjustments. I'm gonna go do a little tap tap on that raker, check, do one more over here, and check again with my pitch and gauge tool to make sure that my raker height is right around where I want it to be. And from there on, it is just working around the chain. Here's another shout out to Dylan of Lamont & Sons. This is the last step. I used to not do this step as well, but I do like it because without doing this, I left the burr up on the top of the tooth. And in reality, when you go touch this chain against a log, it's going to pull that burr right off. But for making it look good and loosening that burr up, I'm using a wire brush to push it all back into the gullet. It'll feel super sharp going home. It'll look good. And whatever burr there is left is going to pop right off as soon as this chain touches a piece of wood. And one final shout out to Dylan. If you saw me struggling a little bit there in the parts washer trying to get these darn things straightened out, this is one thing you can do. Put a little zip tie. I'm just tying a little string around it. I'm going to end up doing it in 2 spots, but that way when you pull it back out of the bag, it's going to be not tangled up, and that's kind of a nice thing. I call it a Rubik's Cube, getting these things untangled. But anyway, there essentially is the procedure that I'm using for sawchain at the moment. I'm going to continue to work on it and refine it. It is a few extra steps compared to how I was doing it, but I think they are valuable steps, and they help me deliver a quality product to my customers. I hope you got something from this video, and I appreciate you watching.